Every empire believes it's built to last forever. Rome thought so. Britain thought so. And today, America believes the same. But what if I told you, behind every empire's rise and fall lies the same hidden financial blueprint? A pattern so precise, it almost feels scripted by history itself. And here's the scary part. The United States is following it, step by step. Before you brush this off as just another doomsday prediction, let me walk you through the playbook. The one that built kingdoms, created wealth beyond imagination, and then destroyed it all. You see, empires don't fall because of wars or invasions alone. They collapse because of money, the silent weapon that turns prosperity into poison. Let's start with the first chapter of this story, Rome. At its height, Rome controlled vast lands, millions of people, and unimaginable riches. But power brings greed, and greed always rewrites the rules of money. Rome's government began printing more silver coins, but with less silver in them. A small cheat at first, then bigger, until citizens realized their money wasn't worth what it used to be. Prices soared, trade collapsed, the soldiers, Rome's backbone, demanded higher pay. The empire printed even more coins to satisfy them. And just like that, inflation ate Rome alive from the inside. A financial disease masked as economic growth. Now tell me if this sounds familiar. A nation prints trillions of dollars to solve every crisis, to fund wars, stimulus, and promises. But behind the headlines lies the same ancient pattern: debt disguised as prosperity. Rome didn't fall overnight. It rotted gradually. The currency lost trust, the people lost faith, and the system, built on paper promises, finally snapped. Fast forward 1,000 years to the British Empire. Britain mastered global finance before anyone else. Its navy ruled the seas, its banks ruled the world. London became the beating heart of global trade. But with dominance came debt. Wars with France, the American Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars. Each one demanded more loans, more spending, more printing. Britain financed its power not through production, but through credit. And while it looked unstoppable on the surface, the financial foundation was already cracking. By the early 1900s, the empire was drowning in obligations. It printed money to cover its wars, devaluing the pound. And when the world finally shifted to the US dollar after World War II, Britain's century of dominance quietly ended. History didn't just repeat, it rhymed. The same blueprint that ended Rome ended Britain. And now, if you zoom in, the United States is tracing those same steps with eerie precision. Let's break down this financial blueprint, the 5 invisible stages that turn superpowers into sinking ships. Stage 1. Production and prosperity. Every great empire starts with hard work, innovation, and real value creation. Rome built roads, Britain built ships, America built industries. Stage 2. Expansion. Wealth brings confidence. Confidence breeds risk. Empires begin borrowing to grow faster, expanding influence, territory, and military reach. Stage 3. Peak. The currency becomes dominant. People worldwide trust it. Foreign nations hold it. And the empire enjoys what's called the exorbitant privilege. Stage 4. Complacency. Instead of producing, the nation starts consuming. Factories slow down. Debt replaces innovation. Luxury replaces labor. Stage 5. Collapse. The empire prints money to maintain its lifestyle until inflation, inequality, and distrust corrode it from within. And then, the world quietly moves on to the next rising power. Now here's the unsettling part. Where exactly do you think we are on that curve today? Because every indicator, from record national debt to endless money printing to widening inequality, suggests we're deep into stage 4. And unless something changes, stage 5 is inevitable. But here's where this story gets interesting and terrifying. The The end of an empire doesn't just destroy a government, it resets the global financial system. And right now, we might be standing at the edge of that reset. But before we jump into what happens next, let's step back and uncover why every empire ends up making the same financial mistakes, even when history screams at them not to. Because understanding that is the key to seeing what's coming next for America and for all of us.
Let's peel back the layers and expose how this blueprint works.
Because empires don't fall by accident, they fall by design, their own design. It always starts with ambition, a desire to grow faster than reality allows. In Rome, it began with territorial conquest. In Britain, with colonial expansion. In America, with the birth of the dollar empire, powered by innovation, oil, and Wall Street. But ambition needs money, and when real productivity can't keep up, leaders find shortcuts. They start creating money out of thin air. But here with its silver coins. Britain did it with the printing press. America does it with digital dollars and central bank policies. The mechanism may change, but the result is identical. Currency devaluation and debt addiction. And make no mistake, debt is not inherently evil. Used wisely, it fuels growth. But once an empire gets hooked on it, it stops working for the economy and starts enslaving it. Here's the brutal truth. Debt isn't free money. It's future time, borrowed from the next generation. Rome borrowed its future to pay for luxuries. Britain borrowed to fund wars. And America? It borrows to fund lifestyles, from consumer spending to massive government programs. Now, here's where things spiral, because once the system becomes dependent on easy money, it can't stop without collapsing. If you raise interest rates, debt becomes unpayable. If you lower them, inflation surges. Either way, the empire is trapped. That's the financial death spiral, and it's written into history like a prophecy. But here's the question. Why does every empire ignore the warning signs? It's not that the empire don't see the danger, it's that they believe they're different. Rome believed its armies made it immune. Britain believed its colonies would protect it. And America believes its dollar is untouchable. But power built on faith alone is fragile. And once the world starts losing that faith, the blueprint's final phase begins. Let me paint that picture for you. Imagine the world begins to question the empire's currency. Countries start trading in alternative systems. Allies begin seeking independence. Investors look for safer stores of value. Suddenly, the empire that once dominated the world financially starts losing control. This isn't speculation. It's already happening. Nations are building new financial alliances, moving away from the US dollar's dominance. Digital currencies, BRICS trade deals, and commodity-backed systems are quietly reshaping the landscape. It's the same shift that happened when Britain's pound lost global trust and America's dollar rose in its place. History is just flipping the page again. And remember, these transitions don't happen overnight. They unfold slowly, and then suddenly. So let's recap how this financial decline unfolds, step by step. First, the empire creates wealth through innovation and trade. Second, it expands that wealth through credit and influence. Third, it militarizes its power to protect those interests. Fourth, it financializes its economy, prioritizing speculation over production. And fifth, it prints and borrows until the system breaks under its own weight. By this stage, the empire's citizens feel the pain through rising costs, stagnant wages, and collapsing trust in institutions. They blame politicians. They blame corporations. But in reality, it's the culmination of decades of financial decay hidden behind numbers and policy jargon. And here's the plot twist. None of this is new. Every generation thinks it's experiencing something unprecedented, but history just keeps reusing the same financial script with a different cast. It's like Hollywood, same story, new actors, but make no mistake, this time the stakes are global. The US dollar isn't just America's currency, it's the backbone of the entire world economy. So if it falters, the ripple effects won't just hit one nation, they'll shake every market, every currency, every investment. That's why understanding this blueprint isn't just about history, it's about survival. Because if you know how this pattern plays out, you can position yourself before the next reset, not after. And in the final chapter of this video, we'll decode what happens after the fall. What replaces the old empire? What does the reset actually look like? And most importantly, what can you do to protect yourself before history repeats? That's where this story takes its sharpest turn. And trust me, you'll want to hear this next part. Every empire's collapse marks not just an end, but a reset, a reshuffling of wealth, power, and destiny. When Rome fell, Europe plunged into centuries of chaos, but also rebirth. When Britain fell, America rose, with the dollar as its crown. And now, the stage is being set once again. But this time, the reset won't be defined by armies or colonies. It will be defined by money itself, by whoever controls the next system of trust. We're witnessing the quiet birth of a new world order, digital, decentralized, data-driven. And just like past empires, the leaders of today believe they're in control. But history whispers otherwise. Let's look at what happens immediately after an empire's financial collapse. Stage 1. The currency loses credibility. Stage 2. Foreign creditors pull back. Stage 3. Inflation surges, trust breaks, and people seek alternatives. Stage 4. A new monetary order emerges from the ashes. In Rome's case, it was the Byzantine gold solidus. For Britain, it was the US dollar. And for America, the next global currency may not even be issued by a country. This one, it could be a digital asset, a commodity-backed alliance, or an AI-driven credit system controlled by corporations instead of governments. Whatever it becomes, one truth remains. Power always follows trust, and trust always follows value. So here's the million-dollar question. Who will the world trust next? Some point to gold, others to Bitcoin, others to China's growing financial network. But history suggests that transitions like this are messy, unpredictable, and violent, not always in blood, but in economics. The fall of an empire doesn't just erase wealth, it redistributes it, from the complacent to the prepared. And that's where you come in. Because financial history isn't just a story of nations, it's a mirror for individuals. The same principles that build or destroy empires also build or destroy personal fortunes. Rome fell because it consumed more than it produced. Britain fell because it borrowed more than it earned. And many individuals today are walking that exact same path, overspending, over-leveraging, over-trusting the system. If history teaches one lesson, it's this: those who ignore the blueprint become part of it. So, how do you break the cycle? How do you protect yourself from the next global financial reset? First, understand where your money sits in the hierarchy of trust. Do you hold assets that lose value when inflation spikes, or assets that rise when confidence falls? Second, stop thinking in decades of comfort. Think in cycles of history. Every empire believed their currency would last forever. None of them were right. Third, focus on real value creation. Skills, ownership, hard assets, the same pillars that built civilizations before debt corrupted them. Because in every collapse, there's always a group that thrives, the ones who understood history before it repeated. And if you're still watching this, you're already part of that group. You've just learned the pattern that has shaped the rise and fall of every superpower for 2,000 years. But the blueprint isn't over. It's unfolding right now, in front of us. So ask yourself, when the next chapter begins, will you be on the losing side of history or the one that saw it coming? Because here's the truth. Empires collapse, systems fail, but human intelligence adapts. And if you can understand money the way the great civilizations once did, you can not only survive the next reset, you can build during it. That's the difference between those who are destroyed by change and those who shape it. So if you want to see exactly how this blueprint connects to the debt trap that's already gripping the modern world, watch my last video, Debt Trap that ended every empire and now targets the US. It reveals the next phase of this story, how the world's largest economy might already be living its final chapter. Click that end screen right now, because history doesn't wait, and neither should you. This is Finlegacy, where the past reveals the future.